2 years ago, I had a $14,000 month and a $600 month back-to-back. Same skills, same client list, same me. The only difference was I had zero system, so every dollar I made just disappeared into vibes. Then I built something so unglamorous, so boring, that I almost didn't bother, and it's the reason I've never panicked about money since. If you're a freelancer, a contractor, or you run a small business where your income shows up in unpredictable chunks instead of a steady paycheck, this is for you. Not the 9 to 5 crowd with direct deposit every other Friday. I'm talking about the person who invoices a client on Tuesday, doesn't get paid till the 15th of next month, and has no idea what March is going to look like. If that's you, stay right here. This isn't a video about hustling harder or landing bigger clients. It's about something most freelancers never build. A boring, predictable, almost robotic money system that runs quietly in the background of your business, so you stop white-knuckling every invoice and start feeling like your income is actually yours to control. This is about freedom from money panic. Peace of mind on a Tuesday afternoon instead of dread. Let's get into it. Here's the thing nobody warns you about when you go freelance or start your own business. Nobody is withholding your taxes for you anymore. Nobody is smoothing your income into equal biweekly deposits. Nobody is telling you, hey, set aside 25% of this for the IRS. You are now the accounting department, the HR department, and the person who has to remember all of it on top of actually doing the work you get paid for. So what happens? You get a good month, and it feels like free money because compared to your usual income, it is a windfall. You upgrade your setup, you finally book that trip, you breathe easy for the first time in months. Then April rolls around, or worse, a quarterly estimated tax deadline you forgot existed, and suddenly you owe the government 4 figures you do not have sitting in an account labeled for this exact purpose, because there was no such account. Then there's the feast-or-famine cycle itself. 1 month you're turning down work because you're slammed, the next month your inbox is silent and you're refreshing your email like it's going to magically produce an invoice. Most freelancers respond to this by either underspending in a panic during slow months or overspending in relief during good months, both of which keep you in the same anxious loop, just at different volumes. And underneath all of it is the identity problem. Most people who freelance or run a small business never actually run it like a business. Personal and business money mix in the same checking account. There's no owner's paycheck. There's just money exists, or it doesn't. There's no forecasting, no buffer, no ritual for checking in on the numbers. You're doing incredible creative or technical work, and your business finances are being run by whatever mood you're in that day. I lived this. I had months where I made more than some of my friends' entire annual salaries, and I still felt broke because I never knew what was actually mine to spend versus what was already spoken for. Taxes, slow month buffer, business expenses. That gap between money in the account and money I can actually use was where all my anxiety lived. So I built a system to close that gap. I call it the boring business system because every single piece of it is deliberately unexciting. No spreadsheets that need daily updates, no complicated forecasting models, no discipline of willpower required. Just 5 accounts and rituals that do the thinking for you. Let's walk through it. First, the tax holding account. Open a separate, no-touch savings account, call it taxes, don't touch, and set up an automatic transfer so that every single time a client payment lands in your business checking account, a fixed percentage moves straight into that tax account. Not at the end of the month. Not when you remember. The moment the invoice clears. This works because it removes the decision entirely. You are never deciding whether to set aside tax money. It's already gone, automatically, before you even see it as spendable. Your brain stops having to negotiate with itself in the moment a big payment arrives, which is exactly when the temptation to treat it as fun money is strongest. Say you're in a combined tax bracket, federal, state, and self-employment tax, where roughly 28% of your freelance income needs to go to taxes. A $5,000 invoice comes in. The second it clears, $1,400 auto-transfers to the tax holding account. You never had it. You never miss it. 6 months from now, when your quarterly estimate is due, the money is just there, waiting instead of being a fire drill. Second, the owner's paycheck. Instead of spending directly out of your business account whenever you need cash, pay yourself a fixed, modest paycheck on a set schedule, weekly or biweekly, from your business account to your personal account. Base this number on your lowest realistic income month, not your best one. This is the single biggest shift that makes freelance income feel like a real income. You stop riding the emotional roller coaster of big invoice equals rich, no invoice equals broke, because your personal spending is now decoupled from the timing of any single client payment. The business absorbs the irregularity. You experience stability. Let's say your income varies between $2,000 and $9,000 a month depending on client flow, averaging around $5,000. Instead of spending based on whatever's in the account that week, you pay yourself a flat $3,200 every 2 weeks, a number calculated from your slower months, not your best ones. In a great month, the surplus stays in the business account, building your buffer. In a slow month, your paycheck to yourself doesn't change at all. You genuinely stop feeling every dip in client work in your day-to-day life. Third, the buffer account. Build a separate business buffer account holding a minimum of 1 to 3 months of your baseline expenses, both personal owner's paycheck amount and essential business costs. Feed it automatically with a small percentage of every invoice the same way you do with taxes until it hits target. This is what actually breaks the feast-or-famine panic cycle. When a slow month hits, and in freelancing it always eventually does, you're not scrambling or taking on rushed, underpriced work out of fear. You're pulling from a buffer that exists specifically for this calmly, exactly as planned. If your owner's paycheck plus essential business costs run about $4,500 a month, a 2-month buffer target is $9,000. You set 5% of every invoice to auto-route there until you hit that number. A slow month arrives, client work dries up for 6 weeks. Instead of panic emailing every past client for work, you draw from the buffer, keep your paycheck exactly the same, and use the quiet stretch to actually market yourself instead of taking the first desperate gig that lands in your inbox. Fourth, the quarterly tax ritual. Block 45 minutes, 4 times a year, right before your quarterly estimated tax deadlines. In that block, total your income for the quarter, confirm your tax holding account balance roughly matches what you'll owe, and submit your estimated payment. This works because the money was already set aside automatically. This ritual becomes a confirmation task, not a scramble. You're not calculating from scratch under deadline stress. You're just double-checking that the system worked and then clicking submit. It turns what used to be the most dreaded afternoon of the quarter into a genuinely boring 45 minutes. Quarter 1, you invoiced $18,000 total. At your 28% autosave rate, roughly $5,040 has quietly accumulated in the tax holding account without you thinking about it once. Your ritual is simply confirm the number, submit the estimated payment, move on with your day. No borrowing from next month's rent. No drev. Fifth, the weekly business money date. Every week, same day, same time, 15 minutes, no more. Sit down and look at 3 things only: what came in, what's outstanding in unpaid invoices, and your account balances across the 4 accounts above. This is the ritual that keeps the whole system honest and keeps you emotionally connected to your numbers without letting money anxiety live in your head 24/7. Because it's scheduled and short, it replaces the old pattern of either avoiding your finances entirely or obsessively checking your bank app out of anxiety at random moments. Every Friday at 4 p.m., 15 minutes, coffee in hand. You notice one client is 20 days late on a $2,200 invoice. Instead of discovering that in a panic 3 weeks later when you need the cash, you send a polite follow-up that same day. The system doesn't just organize money you have. It surfaces problems early, while they're still small and easy to fix. Let me tell you about someone I'll call Mia, a freelance graphic designer who came to me completely burnt out on money stress, even though her business was, on paper, doing well. She was billing solid client work, sometimes $8,000 months, sometimes $2,500 months. But every tax season she was blindsided by a bill she hadn't saved for. And every slow month sent her into a spiral of anxious job board scrolling and undercharging new clients out of desperation. She set up the 5 accounts over 1 weekend. Nothing fancy, just her existing bank's free business accounts, with auto transfers scheduled on every incoming payment. The first quarter, it felt almost too simple to be real. The second quarter, her tax bill came due, and for the first time in 4 years of freelancing, she paid it without transferring money out of savings meant for something else. By month 8, a client relationship ended unexpectedly, and her income dropped to almost nothing for 6 weeks. Old Mia would have panicked and taken any work at any rate. New Mia drew from her buffer, kept her regular paycheck exactly the same, and used the gap to raise her rates on her next 3 clients instead of lowering them out of fear. Nothing about her actual freelance work changed. Her skills, her clients, her rates over time, all roughly the same trajectory. What changed was that money stopped being the thing running in the background of her mind every single day. That's the actual transformation here, not more income, but a business that runs itself instead of running you. So to recap the boring business system: a tax holding account that auto-saves the second money comes in, an owner's paycheck that decouples your life from invoice timing, a buffer account that absorbs the slow months without panic, a quarterly tax ritual that turns dread into a 45-minute checklist, and a weekly money date that keeps you honestly in touch with your numbers without letting them consume you. None of this is exciting. None of it will make a viral "I made 6 figures" thumbnail. But this is what it actually looks like to run your freelance work like a real business instead of a series of lucky or unlucky months. The freelancers and small business owners who last, who build something sustainable instead of burning out in 3 years, are almost never the ones with the flashiest income. They're the ones with the most boring, reliable systems underneath it. If this was useful, hit subscribe. I'm building out this entire boring business system video by video, one piece at a time, so you can implement it right alongside me. And before you go, drop a comment telling me which of these 5 accounts you're missing right now: tax holding, owner's paycheck, buffer, or you don't even have separate business and personal accounts yet. I read every one, and it helps me build the next video around what freelancers actually need next. Speaking of which, next video I'm breaking down exactly how to calculate your specific tax savings percentage based on your state, your structure, and your income level, so step 1 isn't a guess anymore, it's a real number. Subscribe so you don't miss it. See you in the next one.